We're coming to you live from our studio here, number 35, John Hammond Street in Accra. Hello, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the midday news on 3FM 92.7. Also live on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927. I am Noble Crosby Annan. In the bulletin this afternoon, at least 12 people have now been confirmed dead as a result of Monday's torrential rains, which left a trail of destruction across parts of Accra. I'll get the details shortly. Meanwhile, major health concerns emerge as traders at Odona Market threaten to sell food items damaged by the floods if they do not receive support from the government. Also this afternoon, schools in Alonga district of the Volta region have partially shut down amidst increasing floods that ravaged the area. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome to the program. We're live also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927. Join us there as we get interactive. Let's start the bulletin from here. And the full extent of Monday's devastating floods in Accra is becoming clearer, with authorities confirming that at least 12 people have lost their lives. Rescue teams remain on the ground searching flooded communities amid fears the death toll could rise as more affected areas become accessible. The floods left several neighborhoods submerged after hours of torrential rainfall. Homes, shops, and vehicles were engulfed, forcing hundreds of residents to flee to safety. For many families, the disaster has left a trail of destruction, while business owners are counting heavy losses after floodwaters washed away their merchandise. The Ghana National Fire Service says search and rescue operations are continuing across the affected communities.
All the distress calls we've received so far, we've been able to attend to all of them. We've rescued in total in excess of about 150 to 200 people so far. Unfortunately, about 12 people lost their lives. We suspect the number might be more, but for now, that's the number we are going with. And hopefully this morning, there might be some, hopefully later this morning, I'm sure some bodies might emerge and we should be able to get a confirmed number. But as of now, rescue efforts are still underway.
Rescue efforts are still underway in which areas, if we can?
No, so what I mean is that we are on standby for any rescue call. Our men are still at Odona. After dousing the fire at Odona, we are still there being on standby in case of emergencies. Also, our officers, yesterday around 11 p.m., we attended to a building collapse where we were able to help get 13 people rescued to safety. And so we are still on standby, and our emergency numbers are fully active in order to help and respond to people in this.
That's the voice of Alex King Nate. He is a member of the Public Relations Unit of the Ghana National Fire Service, speaking with us there, and it was earlier with my colleague Eric Mawina Egbeta. Meanwhile, survivors of Monday's floods in Alaju are struggling to come to terms with their losses after entire households and businesses were destroyed. Now, of the 12 confirmed fatalities, 2 were recorded in Alaju. Residents returned home to find their belongings ruined by floodwaters, while shop owners salvaged whatever they could from the damaged businesses. Livelihoods have also been wiped out, with television repair shops, barbering salons, a mosque, and several other structures destroyed by the floodwaters. Several vehicles parked at mechanic shops along the banks of the Odo drain were swept into the storm drain. Residents say they are yet to receive relief items and are appealing for urgent assistance.
Even the money we had left, I think for our place, some of the things were going to my bag that yesterday I would take to work that I had some little money. I can't even find it. Money that was here, we don't know. So we don't know what to do actually. We are really confused in a state that we don't know what to think of.
I think it's how much about 3:30 to 4. and then so started say to anatica cra. They appear because you're being gata. The gata and the soon be bana and bafia. A question and soon in Yamba, near San Kodaka, around 5. So they started say bull refuge. The mobile fear be a pier, as to Tony Demu pier. So you go to Toya be 3 to 4 hours. Every day, befia, Obia, your man say, we bet me when na. No man will Google Obia session, and the mental, the Misika, me bag and Misika sheming na echo. Saturday, any down we pen our cash me. I'm doing antimisa, I'm good to sound so here, Juma. Timamba, Mumbamba Boyana, and so intimina bibi.
And those were the voices of some survivors of the unfortunate flood that swept through parts of the capital, particularly the voices of people who were at Alajo. My colleague Stanley Niblo has been to the Alajo community a day after the flooding incident and its devastating impact. Stanley, thank you for joining us. When you visited the place today, how is it looking like?
So, Crosby, today has really been a very busy day for survivors of yesterday's flood incident. And, you know, when yesterday, when the incident happened, they have to flee their homes to safety. And this morning, they just returned to see most of their wares, especially their property, soaked in water and mud.
Right. And
vehicle owners who, the affluents in that society also have had their vehicles washed into the belly of the Odo drain. And so that has been the situation that residents over there have had to
deal with this morning.
Deal with at this particular moment that we talk. You see, when you go to the place, the visuals that you are showing on social media, these are debris that ordinarily are not there.
Okay.
It's the flood that actually evacuated them and deposited them at their current location. And so you could really tell that from the pictures, you could really tell that the extent of devastation has been massive. And currently, when I was in Alajo, I went to Achimota, and I didn't see any relief items being distributed to the affected individuals in that enclave. And so I think the authorities, especially NADMO, government through the NADMO, National Disaster Management Organization, could do something about this situation, because feeding has become a problem for even the survivors over there.
I can imagine it's going to be a very busy day for them, sweeping and then trying to salvage some of the things that have been washed and been affected by the rains and the flood yesterday. Stanley, thank you so much for bringing us those updates. My colleague Stanley Niblo speaking to us on what the situation in the Alajo community is a day after the incident. Well, at Achimota, Abufu, the destruction is equally severe. Sections of the Odor drain have collapsed, eroding the foundations of nearby homes and leaving several buildings at risk. 3-bedroom structures along the drain have partially collapsed, with household belongings washed away by the floods. Construction materials stockpiled for government projects were also swept away. Residents are calling for immediate intervention to prevent further destruction.
We'll call them. This thing is bringing an issue in this community, and you can see it yourself. Now the buildings are starting collapsing. You saw it on the park everywhere, the garbages, everything. In fact, everything has got damaged. You can see on my right here, there are some roofing sheets. It was the same rain that washed away all those things. Polytanks, people's walls have been breaking down as a result of this project. We were here when Interbeti came to execute this project. Fine. We never experienced such a rain, apart from 1996. Good. Nobody calls for rain. It is the work of God. But we've been warned, staying alongside the river bank, that is very dangerous, and of course it's dangerous. But Stanley, you can have a look and look at the phenomenon. Look at the situation. People have lost billions of cedis. Even lives have been lost. About 12 people have been washed away. Cars even have, buses were carried away. Cattle, sheep, and so forth. So we are still pleading to His Excellency to tell the finance minister to release more funds to them and more workforce. More workforce. The workforce should be many so that the work can go fast. Then all these things will be over.
So an interaction between my colleague Stanley Niblo and some survivors, also some victims of the flood at Achimota Abofu there. Still on this subject, traders at Odona Market are threatening to sell food items damaged by Monday's floods if they do not receive support from the government. The floods destroyed large quantities of foodstuff, leaving many traders counting significant losses. Our reporter Joseph Armstrong-Gold Alagba visited the market and observed some traders washing food-affected items in an attempt to clean them before putting them up for sale. The situation has raised concerns about food safety and the potential health risk of consumers.
Right from where I stand is a rice shop, and you see this rice, you see here all these yesterday was flooded with water, and I'm told all these sacks of rice you see here have all been flooded. And you see this rice, for instance, yesterday was equally flooded by the flood waters, and every single item here you see, let me say, has been contaminated. But the question is, are the traders or the market women going to get rid of them, or they are still going to go ahead to sell it onto the market? Madam, so what are you going to do with the groundnut paste now? Because I can see this one is still in the container.
This one, it doesn't do anything, but those that run away there, this one is okay.
Okay. So what's on top of it like that?
And the sand.
The sand? So you are going to clean?
I'll take some away.
You take the front part away?
Because I can't throw all away. Everything has gone.
You can't throw all away?
But even the oil, tin tomatoes, give up everything. Everything. Even the tin tomatoes, they've even stolen some. Everything. This is the pallet, all the oil, everything. I didn't get one.
You had 15 bags of salt?
Salt, that's the sack.
They've all dissolved?
Dissolved. I didn't get anything.
So this tomato paste there, you cannot throw it away?
No.
You have to clean the top?
This one, they have to manage it and sell.
You manage it and sell?
I'll manage it.
But I can see a lot of that.
It's the water.
It's the water? But it just I couldn't penetrate?
No. Because of the cover, and I placed it on this table, so this for this one, they are safe. Those that are on the pallets here, they are...
So how much do you think you've lost?
Almost 1,000 or 10,000.
What, madam? Into what's what I saying?
Bibi yako, na beri nyina go so ni nyina akọ. Ya kana mbetu nyina akọ.
Into we about say met me isubium.
Ya to me isubium.
Oh, na say abewu.
Ya abe.
Into I say. Into ma to atwene.
Be to atwene be ndem.
Oh, sure. What's wrong with you?
How much bed near Nuebotemi? Much we. That's it. I'm going to much. How much we?
I can't get your Kobe.
Kobe, let's look Kobe. So, summer. I got some after Kobe. After much we.
Going to 50.
All 50.
Why? Me patch me money, me mommy money, me mommy new. Nina say ya fa bibia. Ya fashi omona ni emuncha ya baba chomba boy kakra na enti bi fantasy.
Yes, but we take a pen.
What is it?
After tomatoes.
This rice. So what are you going to do with this rice now?
We are going to throw it away.
Madam, who are they?
That's me.
Jenny, I say it's on Ireland. I almost say I say.
I say.
We cover now. Not just wait me using a car.
Beef, who in the camera?
Where room come out? No room come out. I don't just I say.
And say.
Into what may you be?
Me and a camera, my
contemplating Sunday at the Benam Musa. And
they bet you are good.
And I'm going to try to steal. Okay. Well, the issue here is quite worrying. Where these market women, some of them will not throw away their produce because they feel some of them, after washing the front part, they can be able to use it. So where I stand now, you see sack of rice, so many of them all soaked in the flood waters.
A report there from my colleague Armstrong Gold Alogbe. We're still staying on the concerns of the flood. Now we're talking about solutions, because government has pledged a robust response to the perennial flooding challenge following an aerial and ground assessment of the affected areas. President Mahama directed the Ministry of Finance to immediately release funds to support relief and recovery efforts.
We'll call a National Security Council meeting. We're asking every district to identify, together with the Works and Housing Ministry, where the blockages in the channels are as they pass through the district assemblies, so that we can earmark those places for removal. We'll not only break the houses, we have to move the rubble out of the way, because there's no use breaking a house and leaving the rubble in the waterway. It's just the same as leaving the house. And so it's going to be quite a major issue in order to resolve the problem of Accra. But ultimately, the other solution will be to decongest Accra. And that's why we're planning that we move some of the city out, that is the major government departments, and then also create a new center of growth so that our people will start building outside Accra in a new city, instead of everybody looking for some space in Accra to build. So NADMO will do what it can to try and identify the victims and see how we can just support them in a way in the next few days. I've asked the Minister of Finance to release some money from the contingency fund so that we can do some post-flood relief for persons who have been affected. And so let me again express my sympathy, but let us change our attitude and let us find a permanent solution to this Accra flooding problem. We shouldn't become like the vulture who, anytime it is raining, he says as soon as it stops raining, he will repair his roof. And then as soon as it stops raining, he says, oh, it has stopped raining, so there's no need to repair the roof. This time should be different.
The voice of President John Dramani Mahama there. Now, the devastating flood also disrupted transportation, with several buses and commercial vehicles damaged by the floodwaters. The destruction has left many commuters stranded, forcing some to scramble for alternative means of getting to their destinations, as transport services remain severely affected. Deputy Public Relations Officer of the GPRTU, Samuel Amo, spoke to 3FM earlier.
Even before this flood issue, we were having problems with some number of vehicles that are being remain at various workshops because of a high cost of spare parts and all that. We used to say this, and this flood has also, damaged more vehicles and is going to, cause commuters not to get vehicles to their destination. So we are pleading with the government as early as possible to come to our aid, to give us some more vehicles to help save the nation from these passengers getting stranded. See, whenever these issues happen, there are affected people that normally the government will come in to support them. NADMO will go in to support some people and all that. But let's ask if government will also assist drivers that have, been affected by all these challenges and problems. As I'm speaking to you, if one's engine got damaged, then it means that that person has to, go for a loan to buy engine and all that. So we are working on it. We are trying what the union can also do to support. We do that. But there are some that will be beyond our capacity.
And that's the voice of the Deputy Public Relations Officer of the GPRTU, Samuel Amo, speaking with 3FM there. Now, several schools in the Angloga district have partially shut down amidst the increasing floods that have ravaged the area. At least more than 28,000 residents are said to have been displaced, and several buildings have also collapsed. And that is away from Accra. Correspondent Faisal Abdul Idris, who is in the area, he's joining us with some update. Faisal, if you say schools are partially closed, how do you explain that?
So, schools, communities that have been affected by the floods in this district have asked the lower primary learners not to turn up for school. The reason is that the homes they come from are this, and having to get to the school, they would have to walk through floodwaters. This the Ghana Education Service finds a bit difficult and worrying. And so most of the basic schools for class 1, 2, 3, they are not in school. I just left the Sakoma DA Basic School where on a normal day they have 205 learners in school. But today, less than half of that number is in school, just 91 of them are in. The head teacher of the school mentioned to me that the kindergarten learners have been asked not to come at all. In their case, they are only in the KG1 and 2 not to come at all. For the primary 1 up to JHS2, they are supposed to be in school. Even that, a good number of them are not in school. And that is exactly what the partial closure across the district means.
We also know, of course, that are increasing for the Keji flood control gates to be opened to allow the water flow freely into the sea. What authorities saying, and how are they prepping for this?
So located at Haveji is a flood control gate, which in most cases is open to allow the flood waters from the lagoon, particularly in times like this, to move into the sea. Now, beyond the floodgate is a sandbar. So once the floodgate is supposed to be opened, he also cuts through a sandbar to allow the water to flow. But that very thing is a technical thing that usually a lot of technical considerations are done before it is done. In 2023, when the areas including Katusa, Keta, and Angloga were affected by floods, they have had to open the floodgates at Haveji to allow the excess water to run into the sea, and it's exactly what residents are calling for. Now, let me run you by these numbers before I tell you what authorities are saying. The exact number of persons affected and displaced, for that matter, is 28,609 across the Angloga district alone. So far this morning, we are told that 50 of the buildings in Kagui, Sakum, Agobledokwi, Mazado, and other places have collapsed. There are also houses that are potentially in line of collapsing, and so they are asking residents to move to safer grounds. Now, authorities are saying that yesterday, the 3 MCAs and their technical people had a meeting and agreed that they will open the floodgates at Keji, but they will do that next week. There is also the consideration that the estuary at Fuweme be dredged so that the excess water in the lagoon would run back to the sea. Then the flood waters will recede and communities basically would come back to normal life. Basically, nothing really is happening. The academic activities are down. Nobody can go to the farm. People are stuck in their rooms. Those who can stay in the rooms are staying in the room in the flood waters. Those who cannot are moving to safer grounds. I just met 2 women who were telling me that they are living Sakome to Blemazado, a place you can, put up for now because their building has also collapsed. So they were able to salvage a few items and have moved. That is the situation here in the Angloga district.
Faisal, thank you so much for joining us with those updates in the Volta region there. Now, a major push to clear the pathway for Ghana's rivers is starting in the western region. The EPA is teaming up with the Regional Coordinating Council to dredge the Pra and the Bonsa rivers while prioritizing the River Tunnel in the flood-hit Samaboy area. The goal, according to the CEO of the EPA, Professor Nanama Brown-Kluche, is to keep water flowing from source to sea and keep communities safe as the rains come. Irama Smith has more in this report.
The flooding in Accra currently, it's a sad situation because we've lost life and we've lost properties as well. We see three different things happening. The heavy rain is one of them. We see also that the pathway for the water to flow to major rivers and to wetlands are also blocked because people are built on waterways. Another difficulty we have is also the styrofoam and the plastics and other materials. But largely, if you see in the water, you see plastic and styrofoams, which are waste materials that has been dumped into the flowing waters that's supposed to get into the sea. These choked the pathways as well. And if we cannot avoid heavy rain from coming, we can avoid choked gutters and allow waters to flow. So EPA, supported by His Excellency, the President of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, will continue to insist on this ban of styrofoam. Of course, during all our engagement, we also highlight that the ban on single-use plastic is also on its way.
The voice of Professor Brown Kluche there. She is the CEO of the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, head teachers and community members of beneficiary schools under the National School Feeding Program have been encouraged to report caterers who failed to cook meals for pupils to the School Feeding Secretariat for the appropriate sanctions. Speaking to journalists during an unannounced visit to some schools in the northern region, National Coordinator of the program, Hajia Fati Fogo, cautioned caterers who fail to cook every day to expect sanctions from the Secretariat. Hajia Fati Fogo emphasized that the Secretariat will not shield any caterer who fails to live up to expectation. Listening to the concerns of the school feeding coordinator.
We've inspected whatever meal they have cooked for the children today, and I believe that it is the quantity that is expected to be served to the children. So whatever it is that was reported is basically unfounded. I've said everywhere that I've had the opportunity to speak to the cameras that as a caterer, if you are not prepared to deliver, there's no point in picking the contracts. People think that school feeding is just anything at all. It's a ground for people to make money. It's a place where everybody at all can go and pick school, and that ends it. I feel so sad when I visit some of the schools and realize that these caterer services that people have struggled to actually get today, they are doing the opposite. Most head teachers are not helping the situation. They are our key stakeholders. And once we are not here every day with the caterers, we expect them to report as it is to us. But they are rather encouraging and motivating them to be putting out those acts. Head teachers, please, I will say this here. Don't come for my neck because you know that I'm saying the truth. It's a collaborative responsibility. If you don't help Ghana School Feeding Program, we cannot have a successful and a smooth run of the program.
And that's the voice of Hajia Fati Fogo, National Coordinator of the School Feeding Program there, the School Feeding Secretariat, speaking there, ending the midday news on 3FM 92.7. The small news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Using the digital.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Kausa. Coming up, fuel prices set to drop at the local pumps from July 1 as National Petroleum Authority (NPA) lowers price floors for petrol and diesel. We'll bring you details. Also ahead, Tema Oil Refinery TOR bounces back from a decade of losses to post a 1.24 billion CD credit with plans to pay dividends soon. And experts say digital technology could curb massive post-harvest losses by connecting Ghanaian farmers directly to buyers.
In the digital space for other things, so we can also gradually get into working mode, into business mode with digital marketing to trade our wares. I think that will work out very well.
We'll bring you details of our headlines and other stories shortly. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Fuel prices are set to fall again from July 1 after the National Petroleum Authority (NPA) reduced the price floors for petrol and diesel. The minimum price for petrol has been lowered from 13 cedis 39 pesos to 12 cedis 79 pesos per litre, while diesel dropped sharply from 15 cedis 11 pesos to 13 cedis 54 pesos per litre. There is more in the following 3 Business News Desk report.
The latest adjustment follows an earlier reduction during the previous pricing window, extending a downward trend in domestic fuel prices after weeks of volatility linked to tensions in the Middle East. Analysts say the easing of geopolitical concerns has helped stabilize international crude oil prices, while the continued appreciation of the cedi against the US dollar has reduced the cost of importing refined petroleum products into Ghana. Together, the two factors have created room for lower ex-pump prices. The revised price floors take effect on July 1, although the prices motorists pay at the pump will ultimately depend on individual oil marketing companies. The latest reduction is expected to provide further relief for households, transport operators and businesses, while easing pressure on the cost of moving goods and services across the economy.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on fuel prices set to drop at the local pumps from July 1 as National Petroleum Authority (NPA) lowers price floors for petrol and diesel. Meanwhile, the National Petroleum Authority (NPA) has directed all fuel stations, if affected by flooding, to immediately suspend fuel dispensing until conditions are declared safe. The authority says the move is aimed at preventing fires, explosions, and other safety risks, while operators have also been instructed to shut down electrical systems where necessary and keep emergency response equipment on standby. The NPA is urging the public to stay away from flooded fuel stations and to report any operator that continues to sell fuel in violation of the directive. Moving on, every year tons of food produced by Ghanaian farmers never reach the market. Poor access to buyers continues to fuel post-harvest losses, reducing farmers' incomes and affecting the country's food supply. But experts say digital technology could help connect producers directly with consumers and transform agricultural marketing.
Limited access to markets remains one of the biggest challenges facing Ghana's agricultural sector, with many farmers unable to sell their produce before it perishes, resulting in significant post-harvest losses. The Director of Women in Agriculture and Development at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Paulina Ade, says digital marketing platforms can help farmers connect directly with buyers, expand their reach, and improve incomes. She was speaking at a seminar on digital market access and export readiness organized by the Nkabom Collaborative.
We are using the digital space for other things, so we can also gradually get into working mode, into business mode with digital marketing to trade our wares. I think that will work out very well.
Even for the agricultural sector?
For the agricultural sector, yes. And even for women who may not be IT savvy, they may have their kids. Some of them even work with other people. You find them on TikTok and so on. So that is a good tool to get into that space.
The Nkabom Collaborative is a multi-institutional partnership working to transform Ghana's agri-food systems while creating employment opportunities for young people. The initiative's education lead at the University of Ghana, Dr. Hayford Mensah Irakwa, believes agriculture has the potential to become a major source of jobs if young people are equipped with the right skills and access to markets.
And that was a report on experts saying digital technology could curb massive post-harvest losses by connecting Ghanaian farmers directly to buyers. Now, the World Bank has revised Ghana's economic growth forecast upward for 2026, projecting gross domestic product (GDP) growth of 4.8%, up from its earlier estimate of 4.6%. While the improved outlook reflects continued economic resilience, the Bretton Woods institution says the economy is transitioning from its strong post-crisis rebound to a more sustainable medium-term growth path. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details. The World Bank has increased Ghana's gross domestic product growth forecast for 2026 to 4.8%, representing a 0.2 percentage point improvement over its January projection. According to the bank's June 2026 Global Economic Prospects report, the revised outlook reflects continued resilience in Ghana's economy, although growth is expected to slow from the 6% recorded in 2025 as the country shifts from post-crisis recovery to a more sustainable pace of expansion. The report also projects Ghana's economy to grow by 4.9% in 2027 and 5% in 2028, signaling steady medium-term prospects. Ghana's projected growth for 2026 is expected to outperform the sub-Saharan African regional average of 4%. Across the region, however, the World Bank has lowered its 2026 growth forecast by 0.3 percentage points, citing the economic impact of the conflict in the Middle East, despite ongoing structural reforms and stronger investment prospects. The bank adds that while economic growth in sub-Saharan Africa is expected to recover gradually from 2027, income growth and job creation will remain too weak to significantly reduce extreme poverty as the region's labor force continues to expand rapidly. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on World Bank raising Ghana's 2026 GDP growth forecast to 4.8%, but once the economy is settling into slower medium-term expansion. This is still Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. To our headline story before we go. After a decade of losses, the management of the Tema Oil Refinery has announced a profit of 1.24 billion cedis. The refinery had remained largely dormant for years because of mounting debt and financial difficulties. Speaking at TOR's 18th annual general meeting, Managing Director Edmond Combat said the refinery's fortunes have turned around, with the company now expecting to pay dividends to shareholders soon.
We are making gains. So still with a lot of legacy debts that need to be cleared, and the margins were especially set up for that. So we need to continue with the margins until those debts are all cleared. We should remember that the debts that are sitting on our books now are not the doing of the current board or management. They are legacy debts, which means that we inherited them. Currently, there are 2 units in the refinery, the CDU and the RFCC. Now we are operating only with the CDU, which was maintained and rehabilitated during the turnaround maintenance period, which started in August. With that, we are able to do 28,000 barrels per stream day of refining.
And that was Managing Director of the Tema Oil Refinery, TOR, bringing us to the end of Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Thanks for your company.